Emo music is known for, well, MCR. Goth music can be described by this South Park episode.
Oh no, I'm not gonna be in the talent show. Oh no, 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 no. I'll never be in your faggy talent show.
But, well, Midwest Emo? Twinkly skateboarding music. No, literally, that's what my Spotify called it. Recently on social media, specifically TikTok, you've most likely heard of this genre. And if not, you've definitely heard some of the songs in it. I mean, I've heard more videos recently use Scott Pilgrim vs. My GPA by Mum Jeans than any other song at the moment.
It's hard for me to see exactly where the hell I went wrong.
As well as that, artists such as Tommy Reagan, Dolan and Trash are absolutely killing it on the platform. And I would say that they play a pretty good reason as to why Midwest Emo is gaining so much popularity on TikTok. I mean, come on, are you telling me that this isn't a banger?
Riley used to pick flowers and hang out with her friends. And she used to be happy, but now she just pretends.
Or this song here.
It takes a lot to never want to see someone again, especially if they were your best friend. I know I'm nowhere near perfect.
And I mean, come on, if you're on TikTok, then you've 100% heard this song come up. However, they're not who I'm here to talk about today, but who knows, maybe another video. I'm here to talk about a band that I've wanted to talk about for a while now, and I've had this idea in my head for quite a bit of time. And that band is none other than the reason you clicked onto this video, the Flat Stanleys. No, before you all say it, I'm not on about the children's book we all read in like year 1, that's kindergarten for the Americans. I'm talking about one of my favourite bands in the Midwest Emo scene, and possibly one of my favourite bands of all time. I'd put them in the top 20. I know that's quite a large number, but you know, they're somewhere in there. But now, I'm happy to announce the one, the only, well, there's actually 4 of them, the Flat Stanleys!
Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down, because I want it all. Started out with a lick, how did it end up like this? It was only a lick, it was only a lick. Now I'm chewing a shoe and my owner is mad, telling me what to do, telling me that I'm bad. So I'll go on the floor, cause I don't give a shit. Now I'm scratching the door and I'm making a mess now.
The Flat Stanleys formed at some point in June 2016 in Baltimore. Baltimore. When 2 college roommates, Brian and Colin, decided to create a band parodying the likes of the Front Bottoms, who, if you don't know, are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Midwest Emo bands.
This is for the lions living in the wiry, broke down frames of my friends' bodies. When the floodwater comes, it ain't gonna be clear, it's gonna look like mud. But I will help you swim. I will help you swim. Gonna help you swim.
Also, I'm aware that some of the bands I mentioned in this video, people may not class as being a Midwest Emo band. I've heard people label the Front Bottoms as being like folk rock, pop punk, and so many more genres. But for the sake of the video, every single band, or most of the bands I'm referring to in this video, I'm just going to put under the same roof as Midwest Emo. And that's right, all of them, even Alex G. Yeah, I bet that got a lot of you absolutely raging. Also, before I get attacked, I'm well aware Alex G is not Midwest Emo music. We all know that he's a punk rock king. Come on. Anyway, where was we? The last summer before college is when Brian, the vocalist, and Colin, who's on the guitar, so the guitarist, decided to start writing songs for the band. And ultimately was the start of, as we all know, the Flat Stanleys. The day before they had to set off and leave for college, they played their first basement show in, well, Brian's basement, with an audience of friends and family. However, unfortunately, the next morning the two had to part ways, with Brian heading to the new school in New York City, and Colin leaving to Virginia Tech, located in, well, Virginia. A few months later, the pair had their first release, a self-titled EP called, well, you guessed it, the Flat Stanleys. This EP was composed of 4 songs: The Ballad of the Space Cadet, One-Sided Fist Fight, When You Wanna Die But You Got a 9 AM, and lastly, Look, I Love You, But You Really Fucked Me Over, Big Time. I gotta say, as a first release, they bloody smashed it, and it's mostly only up from here. If any of these songs come up in my Spotify queue, I wouldn't give any of them a skip. Well, maybe one, occasionally. As it currently stands, my ranking for this EP would be The Ballad of the Space Cadet in last. It's not an awful song by any means, and the lyrics are actually really good. I think it's more so how the song's recorded compared to all the other songs on the album. There's not a lot of production went into this song compared to the others, and it sounds more like somebody sort of stuck on the microphone, sung into the mic, and then uploaded it. And obviously there's nothing wrong with that, and there's a lot of songs which I really like that sound like that, but I think comparing that to the other 3 songs, it just doesn't top them. Then in the list, I'd put One-Sided Fist Fight. Once again, a great song, and when I first listened to it, out of all of their songs, I think this one mostly sounds like a Front Bottoms song, and mate, I'm all here for it. Obviously I don't want to keep on comparing the Flat Stanleys to the Front Bottoms, but they do take big inspiration from the band, and you can definitely hear it in this song. And to be fair, I've been listening to this one a lot more recently, and I think I'm going to love it a lot more. I've then put When You Wanna Die, but you got a 9 AM in second place. I mean, this song is well good. Okay, it's a really bloody good song. I mean, the lyrics of the song are absolutely amazing. Just the singing, just the whole song, I just love it. And to be fair, it was very close to being number 1, but I got to put the number 1 place in Look, I Love You, but you really fucks me over big time. I actually think it's the first song I heard off the EP, and it's just brilliant, okay? It's a great song, and I'll definitely say that it deserves number 1 place. I don't really want to go too in depth though on my rankings and dive deep into the songs and their lyrics and everything, because that's not what this video is about. However, I do quickly want to share one of the quotes which Colin said about the Ballad of the Space Cadet. Even though I put the song in last place, I think the whole meaning of the song, the lyrics are absolutely amazing, and I think this quote here really shows it off. Yes, the song may seem silly, but it's got a hidden meaning. No one sees what the Space Cadet goes through. He's seen as a mythic figure, but beneath all the glory, he's human, he's vulnerable, he's an ordinary man with an extraordinary mission. And at some point, like all of us, he breaks. That quote was then followed by, we all have a Space Cadet. And I just think, mate, that is amazing. Following the release of this EP, it's clear that they created a fan base early on. And off the back of this, they released hoodies, t-shirts, and even CDs. And if you was lucky enough to buy one of these CDs, it came with a little personalised handwritten message, as well as a cool little Polaroid of the band. Going forwards a few months to January 10th, 2017, they put on their second release, the Sad Stanleys. I've actually only been able to find this EP on Bandcamp, as it's all just demos from their self-titled EP, with a special version of Look, I Love You, but you really fucks me over big time. I wouldn't say that this EP is anything special, and definitely doesn't top their self-titled. The songs played are much slower, and like all their modes, they're entirely acoustic. However, I reckon there's definitely a few people that would prefer the Sad Stanleys over the Flat Stanleys, so if you haven't heard it, I'll definitely say that it's worth a listen to. One thing I forgot to mention, which was a pretty big step in the Flat Stanleys' career, was that just before the release of the Sad Stanleys, they done, to my knowledge, their first show that wasn't in a basement. On the 27th of December 2016, they played at a local bar, the Otto Bar, which was in the hometown of Baltimore. I mean, look at that, for just $8, you could have had the chance to see the bloody Flat Stanleys. Also, something interesting about this lineup is that one of the other artists they played alongside was Tim Neal, who the band ended up creating a split EP with a few months later. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any footage of this gig, however I'm sure it was spectacular. And you know the split EP that I just mentioned? Well, that actually came out a few months after the Sad Stanleys on March 25th, 2017. This EP had 4 tracks, with 2 being the Flat Stanleys and 2 being Tim Neal's. It feels unfair to rank this EP as I don't really listen to Tim Neal and I haven't really listened to any of his music on the EP. However, I'll rank it anyway. Last place, I'll put Esmeralda, and then followed by that I'd put Packin'. Shock that they're both 2 Tim Neal songs that I've put at the bottom, which then leaves second place for Kiss Me With Your Headlights On, an absolute banger. And the first place I got to put All My Friends Have Changed, and I Have Too, which dare I say is potentially in my top 5 Flat Stanleys songs. This EP, I'm only going to talk about the Flat Stanleys 2 songs on there, and mate, what amazing songs they are. Kiss Me With Your Headlights is just great. I think I'm going to say that about most of their songs. It's hard to pinpoint one thing I really like about this song, because without glazing them too hard, it's everything. Even the opening lyrics, I keep making jokes and I don't know what to do, are ones I can relate to, and I think most of us can. In any situation when you feel the slightest bit of awkwardness or silence, bust out a joke and then all is well. And all the glazing I've done for that song times it by 10 for All My Friends Have Changed and I Have Too. I love this song so much. And I remember one time I was on the bus mega drunk and I had this song playing on repeat for ages. I think that bus ride there is really what made me love this song. But I mean, if you haven't listened to it, definitely listen to these 2 songs. Even listen to Tim Neal songs, you might really enjoy them. They're a bit more like folky sort of sound to them. But these songs, specifically these 2, are 100% worth a listen. Also, at some point during the first few months of 2017, Brian and Colin decided to expand the band. Stephen, a friend of theirs from high school, joined, who played bass for the band, as well as Brian's roommate Dustin, who played drums for the band. But now the band is, well, a band. You know, they've got 4 players, a singer, guitar, drum and bass. They do more gigs and basement shows all around Maryland and getting their name in the music scene. Then at some point in early 2017, they got an opportunity of a lifetime. They was given the chance to record a new EP with none other than Jake flipping Ulad. I think I completely butchered his last name there. I think it's Ulad, maybe. But most of us know him as being flipping Jake from Mobo. And this EP that they ended up making was none other than my personal favourite, Dancing to Dad Rock. Dare I say, a perfect EP consisting of 4 absolute bangers. Long Live Tony Perkis, Me vs Your Friends, When Grandma Meets Grandpa Again, and Zeppelin V, The House That He Would Build. Once again, I might have just butchered that name. I've been struggling to rank these 4 songs, however I think I've managed to do it. Last place, unfortunately, I'd have to put for When Grandma Meets Grandpa Again. And I mean, for last place, this song is brilliant. It perfectly depicts the loss of the songwriter's grandma and the effects it had on everyone. This song had so much emotion to it, and you 100% feel it when you listen. And I think it's even a song that probably a few people can definitely relate to. Following on from that, I then put Zeppelin V, The House That He Would Build. Once again, I have to keep on apologising for how I'm saying this last name, because I'm pretty sure I'm getting it completely wrong. I was very tempted to put this song in second place, however I think that there's one that deserves it slightly more. I need to stop saying the same things about each song, so this is the last time I'm going to say it. But this song is so bloody good. It's about a man who clearly struggles with drug and alcohol abuse, and we get a glimpse of what that has done to him. This is seen in lyrics such as, I've got a shooting pain inside my head that doesn't let me sleep. And one of my personal favourites, oh Melissa, I'm sorry, I couldn't have possibly known what the drugs would have done to my body. Whether or not this song is about one of the band members, a friend or just fiction, the meaning behind this feels very real, and you can hear it in Brian's voice. Second place is a song that you all know and love, and it's probably how most of you, including me, found the Flat Stanleys. And that song is Me vs Your Friends. I mean, is there anything I have to say about this song? You know it's a banger, I know it's a banger, and anyone who listens to Midwest Emo will know it's a banger. This song also has a few references to other Midwest Emo artists, such as the Front Bottoms and McCafferty. This song here is one that you can recommend to anyone that likes Midwest Emo or similar genres, and they'll love it. I remember showing it to a few people myself in college and like on Discord, and they all loved it. But now, with only one song left, in first place, it's Long Live Tony Perkis. And for the actual final time now, wow. This song is incredible. It is so good. It's a certified hood classic.
This is a certified hood classic.
I mean, the instruments sound 10 out of 10 in this, the singing 10 out of 10, and the lyrics 10 out of 10. I also think that it's definitely the most different sounding song off the album. It doesn't stray away too far from their genre, however it's a much more fast paced song compared to the rest of them. But overall, this album, as you can probably tell, I love. Each song tells a story which we can all relate to in some aspect. The album feels very raw, very real, and I think they definitely took a lot of time writing it. It almost feels like that we're getting sung to directly. There was a quote that I came across on rateyourmusic.com by a user, and I wanted to add it in the video because I believe it really sums up the album in a much better way than I have. All of the songs of this EP are soul crushing and amazing. I believe it encompasses everything about being a teenager at a party the night after a different party. It's about that cycle and the people you meet in those places. Shortly after the release of Dancing to Dad Rock, the Flat Stanleys decided to embark on their first and to my knowledge only tour. They played at 10 locations throughout, including the Grateful Acres in Fullstone, Maryland. They returned back to the Yosso Bar in Maryland, the Covington in Kentucky, and the Living Gallery in New York, as well as quite a few more places. This tour had quite a few support bands to go with the various dates and locations. However, one band I recognised pretty much instantly, and probably a few of you did as well, and that band is none other than Hot Mulligan. I mean, how cool is that, knowing that Hot Mulligan toured all the way back in 2017 with the Flat Stanleys. Hot Mulligan and the Flat Stanleys was at one point on the same bloody stage together. And also quickly, while I'm on this point, talking about cool band overlaps, a year later the Flat Stanleys also played a gig with none other than bloody Michael Cera Palin, which I thought was so bloody cool. I actually saw them live a few months ago, and me and my mates spoke to the band after the gig, which I thought was bloody amazing. And if only I knew then that they played with the Flat Stanleys. I mean, I could have got like a cool little video of Elliot being like, oh, we miss you, the Flat Stanleys. But now this is where the story of the Flat Stanleys unfortunately starts to come to an end. Around a year after the release of Dancing to Dad Rock on the 21st of July 2018, which was also my birthday, they released, well, their final release, Too Much and Not the Mood. It's also worth saying that between these two releases, I couldn't find out all too much about the band and what they was up to in this time. I know that they played a few more gigs, but that was about it to my knowledge. However, this EP, Too Much and Not the Mood, has to be the most different sounding of all of them. It's much slower and way more melodic. It's only a short EP as well, if you can even call it an EP, with only 2 songs. One being a self-titled, Too Much Not the Mood, and the other one called Praise Song. Even though this EP wasn't expected to be their final release, it certainly feels like it was in a way. Once again, I'm going to pull out a quote from rateyourmusic.com, because I think this user describes this EP in literally the perfect way. When I listened to this EP, knowing that it was their last, I had almost the exact same feeling, and I'm sure most of you will as well. But let me stop yapping and show you the quote, because Too Much Not the Mood feels like a final step in maturing. The last scene in a coming of age movie, away from the juvenile whinings over acoustic guitars, and the sad moping over twinkling riffs. As a final release, Too Much Not the Mood feels perfect, and for me, it might as well be the true end of the revival wave. I mean, come on, there's not much else I have to say about this EP. That quote sums it up perfectly. My ranking for this EP would be Too Much Not the Mood in last, with Praise Song being my favourite. Praise Song is slightly faster than Too Much Not the Mood, which I prefer, and the lyrics of Praise Song as well I enjoy slightly more. However, I do want to mention that the instruments on Too Much Not the Mood are exceptional, and I really enjoy them. But now, we come to the end. There was talks of a 2018 full-length album, Brian even mentioning that on a magazine interview they had about 35 songs wrote for the album, but was deciding on what would make the final cut. However, unfortunately, that album never came out. Then a few months after the release of Too Much Not the Mood, on October 2018, the Flat Stanleys retweeted their final tweet, and from then on, it was radio silence, and the band vanished. That was until, however, May 15th, 2020, or as we will remember, lockdown. In the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, none other than the Flat Stanleys Twitter account tweeted, after 2 whole years of waiting. However, it wasn't the news that we was all hoping for. Brian mentioned that his mental health was feeling a bit rough, and that he was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which means he had both bipolar and schizophrenia. In the tweet, he states, "With this influence, I largely withdrew from the world across the board." He also mentioned the 2017/2018 album, saying that there's no clear time on when it will come out. However, I think I speak for everyone when I say we all hope that Brian is doing better now that he steps back from the band, and wish him well with recovery. And that right there marks the end of the Flat Stanleys. But hey, don't go yet, because there's still quite a few things I have to talk about, such as their song Writing Letters to My Friends. I never actually heard of this song until I started making this video, and mate, it is brilliant. I'm going to link it down below and you have to give it a listen. I believe the band released this song as a one-off single at some point around July 2017, and for a while it was on streaming platforms until one day it just vanished, and it left a lot of people devastated. However, in 2023, someone managed to find the song, which I have absolutely no idea on how they did. And kindly enough for all of us, they uploaded it onto YouTube. But now, I want all of you to listen to what I'm about to say, because I have found what I would describe as a devious find. The holy grail of the Flat Stanleys. I came across the music video to Me vs Your Friends. Don't ask me how I did, but I bloody did. And mate, when I tell you how excited I was when I found it, bloody hell, I couldn't believe it. And not only is it a music video, but it's a whole different version of the song, with Brian singing entirely acoustic and live to the camera. Once again, if you want to watch the full thing yourself, the link will be down below, but here's a little snippet of it.
She said, "Can I come over?" She's sitting in my driveway. I didn't want her this time. I didn't want this my way. I wanted yours instead. Whatever makes you happy, I'll fucking go to bed. I can hear your friends laughing, and they're laughing at me. Don't lie to me, I know it.
I mean, come on, isn't that beautiful? But now we're here in 2025 and still no new music from the Flat Stanleys. And it's not looking like we're getting that album anytime soon. However, we have been left with 4 absolutely amazing EPs. I want to end off the video by mentioning that Dustin does still make music. He's in a band called Sucko, and you can find that on his Instagram page, and I'll also link it down below. Also, Brian may or may not have new music out there. I'm not going to mention it in this video since he probably doesn't want loads of attention from us Flat Stanleys fans on his new projects, and he hasn't come up with a tweet or a post or anything to do with it. So I'm not going to be the one that does that for him, so for now it's going to have to remain a mystery. And with that there, we come to the end of the video. If you have made it this far, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video till the end. This has been one of the biggest videos I've ever made. I started work on this in February and then completely forgot about it until about July, where I'd done some more work on it, stopped again, and then came back in August. So yeah, it definitely could have been quicker, but hey, I got lazy, alright? Also, any feedback obviously in the comments would be much appreciated. Anything I might have missed out, anything I might have got wrong, or just any news about the Flat Stanleys in general. But anyways, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and yeah, goodbye.